The silence of space stretched endlessly around the alien scout fleet as they moved through the outer reaches of the Kepler 442 system. Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his vessel, silent whisper, watching the sensor displays with growing curiosity. His bioluminescent skin pulsed with a faint blue glow that indicated deep concentration. The Zephyrian commander had spent 30 cycles mapping unknown star systems for the expanding empire, and he had never seen readings quite like these. "Commander, the energy signature is unlike anything in our databases," reported his sensor operator. Krylinex from her station, near the front of the bridge. Her tentacles moved gracefully over the control surfaces as she refined the scanning parameters. The source appears to be a single large object approximately 12,000 kilometers from our current position. Vextar moved closer to examine. The data himself. The readings showed a massive energy source that seemed to pulse with irregular patterns. His experience told him this could be anything from a derelict battleship to some kind of natural phenomenon. The Zephyrian Empire had encountered many strange things during their expansion across the galaxy, but this felt different somehow. "What does the long-range visual show us?" Vextar asked as he adjusted his breathing apparatus. The ship's atmosphere was carefully maintained to match their home-world conditions, but the commander always felt slightly uncomfortable during long space missions. The main viewing screen flickered to life, showing a distant object that appeared to be drifting slowly through space. From this distance, it looked like nothing more than a dark shape against the stars. The hull seemed to be made of some kind of metal that absorbed most of the light that hit it. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, and several sections appeared to be damaged or possibly under construction. "It looks like a mining vessel, or perhaps a cargo hauler," observed Sub-Commander Kryanox from his position at the tactical station. "The design is completely unfamiliar, but the proportions suggest it was built for industrial purposes rather than military ones." Vextar nodded slowly as he considered their options. The Zephyrian fleet consisted of 12 vessels, each equipped with advanced sensors and weapon systems. They had been sent to this region of space to investigate reports of unusual activity and to assess any potential threats to the Empire's expansion plans. Finding an unknown vessel this far from any established trade routes was exactly the kind of discovery that Command wanted to hear about. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the human dreadnought Iron Thunder, Captain Jake Morrison stood quietly watching his own sensor displays. The ship had been on patrol for 6 weeks, now carrying out a classified mission that few people in Earth's military even knew existed. The vessel represented the very latest in human military technology and had been specifically designed for deep space reconnaissance and first contact scenarios. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching from bearing 27 Mark IV, reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her position at the tactical console. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls as she gathered more detailed information about the unknown vessels. "I count 12 ships in a standard scouting formation, moving at approximately 0.05 light speed." Morrison moved to stand behind Rodriguez's station so he could see the tactical display more clearly. The approaching ships showed energy signatures that were completely alien in design. Their propulsion systems seemed to operate on principles that human science was only beginning to understand. This was exactly the kind of situation that the Iron Thunder had been built to handle. "What's their estimated time to intercept?" Morrison asked, while keeping his voice calm and professional. He had commanded starships for 15 years, but this would be his first encounter with non-human intelligence. The protocols were clear, but he knew that no amount of training could fully prepare someone for this moment. "At current speed, they'll be within scanning range in approximately 47 minutes. Rodriguez replied after checking her calculations twice. "Should I sound general quarters, sir?" Morrison considered the question carefully. Bringing the ship to full combat readiness would be the safe choice but it might also be interpreted as hostile by the approaching aliens. On the other hand, maintaining normal operations could leave them vulnerable if the situation turned dangerous. The decision could affect the future relationship between humanity and an entire alien civilization. Not yet, Lieutenant, but bring all departments to ready status and make sure our defensive systems are online, Morrison decided. I want options available, but I don't want to appear threatening unless they give us no choice. Chief Engineer Pete Johnson received the alert in the engineering section, where he had been monitoring the ship's experimental quantum drive system. The new technology allowed the Iron Thunder to appear as almost any kind of vessel on enemy sensors while maintaining full combat capability. It was one of several advanced systems that made this ship unique in Earth's fleet. All systems show green across the board, Captain, Johnson reported over the communication system. The quantum masking is holding steady and our power output appears normal to external sensors. As far as anyone out there knows, we're just a disabled mining ship drifting through space. Communications Officer Lisa Park sat at her station, maintaining careful watch over all radio frequencies. Her job was to monitor for any alien transmissions while keeping their own communications secure. The Iron Thunder was operating under strict radio silence, but she knew they could change quickly if the situation developed into actual first contact. I'm picking up structured transmissions between the approaching vessels, Park reported to the bridge. The signals are encrypted, but the patterns suggest coordinated military communications. They're definitely talking to each other about something. Back on the Silent Whisper, Commander Vextar had made his decision about how to proceed with the investigation. The unknown vessel appeared to be defenseless and possibly abandoned, which made it an ideal target for detailed examination. If it contained advanced technology or valuable resources, the discovery could advance his career significantly. Prepare a boarding party, Vextar ordered his crew. I want a full technical team ready to examine whatever we find over there. If this vessel belongs to a previously unknown species, then we need to gather as much intelligence as possible before reporting back to command. Sub-Commander Krienox began organizing the boarding mission while the fleet moved closer to their target. Standard procedure called for approaching unknown vessels with maximum caution, but the readings suggested this ship posed no immediate threat. The Zephyrians had encountered dozens of primitive species during their expansion, and none had possessed technology advanced enough to challenge their military superiority. The stage was set for an encounter that would change everything both species thought they knew about warfare in space. Sub-Commander Krienox moved through the corridors of the Silent Whisper as he gathered his boarding team. The Zephyrian military protocols required a minimum of 8 specialists for investigating unknown vessels. Each team member carried advanced scanning equipment along with energy weapons that could disable most known defensive systems. Their translation devices had been programmed with over 400 different alien languages discovered during the Empire's expansion. The boarding shuttles waited in the launch bay with their cloaking systems already activated. These small craft represented some of the most advanced stealth technology in Zephyrian space. They could approach target vessels without being detected by even the most sophisticated sensor arrays. Krienox had used similar shuttles during dozens of boarding operations, and never once had they been discovered before making contact. Remember that we are likely dealing with a primitive species, Krienox told his team as they prepared their equipment. Their technology appears to be industrial, rather than military, so we should encounter minimal resistance. However, maintain standard precautions until we can confirm the vessel is truly abandoned. His team consisted of experienced soldiers who had participated in first contact situations before. Weapons specialist Vorthek checked his energy rifle, while tech analyst Mira Lynn calibrated her scanning devices. Communications expert Ziktar tested the translation equipment one final time. Each team member knew their role and had trained extensively for exactly this type of mission. Meanwhile, on the Iron Thunder, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Baker was positioning his Marines throughout the ship according to a carefully planned defensive strategy. The human vessel had been designed with internal security in mind, and every corridor could become a deadly trap if the situation required it. Baker had served in 3 different planetary conflicts and understood how to turn any environment into a battlefield. I want overlapping fields of fire on all primary access routes. Baker instructed his squad leaders over the internal communication system. Remember that we're dealing with an unknown alien species, so standard tactics may not apply. Stay flexible and wait for my signal before engaging. The Marines wore powered armor that enhanced their strength and speed while providing protection against most energy weapons. Their rifles fired plasma bolts that could penetrate nearly any known material. More importantly, each soldier carried non-lethal capture equipment in case. Captain Morrison decided that taking prisoners would be more valuable than eliminating the boarding party. Sergeant Nicole Davis took position near the main airlock where the aliens would most likely attempt their entry. Her job was to monitor the boarding party's progress and spring the trap at exactly the right moment. The corridor had been designed to look like a typical maintenance area, but hidden weapons and defensive systems waited behind every wall panel. Boarding shuttles have launched from the lead alien vessel, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez from the bridge. I count 2 craft approaching our starboard hull section. Their cloaking systems are quite advanced, but our quantum sensors can track them easily. Captain Morrison watched the tactical display as the alien shuttles moved closer to his ship. The humans had detected the approaching craft almost immediately, despite their stealth technology. Earth's military had developed quantum-based sensors, specifically because they expected to encounter alien cloaking devices during first contact situations. All stations maintain normal power signatures, Morrison ordered his crew. I want them to believe we're completely unaware of their approach. Let them think they have the element of surprise right up until the moment we spring our trap. The alien shuttles attached themselves to the Iron Thunder's hull using magnetic clamps that were designed to work on any metallic surface. Kryanox and his team began cutting through the outer hull with energy tools that could slice through most known materials. The process took several minutes, but eventually they created an opening large enough for the boarding party to enter. Atmospheric readings show a breathable environment inside the vessel, reported Miralyn as she checked her instruments. The air composition is similar to what we breathe, but with slightly higher oxygen content. We can operate without breathing apparatus if necessary. The boarding party moved through the breach in the hull and found themselves in what appeared to be a storage compartment. The room was dimly lit with basic lighting systems that seemed primitive compared to Zephyrian technology. Boxes and containers were stacked along the walls, but nothing suggested advanced military capabilities. The design aesthetic is definitely alien, observed Ziktar as he examined the walls and ceiling. But the construction methods appear to be quite basic. These beings seem to rely on simple mechanical systems rather than energy-based technology. Kryanox led his team deeper into the vessel, following corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions. The humans had designed their ship to confuse boarders by creating a maze of similar-looking passages. Emergency lighting provided just enough illumination to move safely, but not enough to reveal the defensive systems hidden in the walls. I'm not detecting any life signs, reported Vorthak as he scanned the surrounding area with his weapons targeting system. This vessel appears to be completely abandoned. Perhaps the crew evacuated when their systems failed. The aliens moved through the corridors with growing confidence as they encountered no resistance. Their equipment detected no weapons or defensive systems anywhere in the immediate area. Standard Zephyrian protocols called for caution when boarding unknown vessels, but this ship seemed to pose no threat whatsoever. Davis watched the boarding party's progress through hidden cameras placed throughout the corridor system. The aliens moved in a standard military formation that showed they had extensive training in boarding operations. However, their weapons and armor appeared to be designed for fighting other Zephyrian forces rather than humans. Targets are approaching. The designated kill zone, Davis reported quietly over her communicator. They're maintaining formation and showing no signs of suspicion. All defensive systems are charged and ready. The trap had been carefully planned to eliminate the entire boarding party simultaneously. Plasma barriers would seal both ends of the corridor, while automated defense turrets emerged from concealed positions. The engagement would last less than 30 seconds and leave no survivors to report back to their fleet. Chief Engineer Johnson monitored the ship's power systems as the defensive weapons came online. The Iron Thunder possessed enough firepower to destroy entire fleets, but for this operation, they needed precision rather than overwhelming force. Every shot had to count, and every alien had to be eliminated before they could transmit any information back to their ships. The boarding party reached the center of the kill zone, exactly as the humans had predicted. Kreanox was examining what appeared to be a maintenance panel when Sergeant Davis triggered the trap. In an instant, the corridor transformed from an empty passage into a deadly battlefield designed to show the aliens exactly how dangerous humans could be when threatened. The plasma barriers erupted from the floor and ceiling with a brilliant flash of blue energy that sealed both ends of the corridor instantly. Sub-Commander Kreanox spun around in shock as he realized his team was trapped in what had appeared to be an empty maintenance passage just seconds before. The walls themselves seemed to come alive as hidden panels slid open to reveal weapon turrets that targeted each alien with deadly precision. "Defensive positions," Kreanox shouted to his team as he raised his energy rifle toward the nearest turret. His weapon fired a bolt of concentrated plasma that should have destroyed any primitive defensive system. Instead, the energy blast was absorbed harmlessly by shields that appeared around each automated gun. The aliens found themselves facing technology that operated far beyond their understanding. Sergeant Davis watched from her concealed position as the trap closed around the boarding party. The corridor had been designed specifically for this type of engagement, with overlapping fields of fire that left no blind spots. Each turret was equipped with plasma cannons that could adjust their power output based on the target's armor and defensive systems. "All targets acquired," Davis reported over her communicator as the targeting systems locked onto each alien. "Engaging now." The automated defenses opened fire with coordinated precision that turned the corridor into a storm of deadly energy. Each plasma bolt was calibrated to penetrate Zephyrian armor while minimizing damage to the ship's internal systems. The aliens tried to return fire, but their weapons were completely ineffective against the advanced shielding that protected the human turrets. Specialist Vorthek managed to survive the first volley by diving behind a structural support beam that provided minimal cover from the devastating firepower. His armor had absorbed several direct hits, but the systems were failing rapidly under the sustained assault. He tried to contact the Silent Whisper, but found that his communications equipment had been jammed by some kind of interference field. Tech analyst Mira Lin activated her emergency beacon, hoping to alert the fleet to their situation. The device was designed to penetrate most known jamming systems, but the signal never reached beyond the human ship's hull. The Iron Thunder was equipped with communication scramblers that could block transmissions across multiple frequency ranges simultaneously. Communications expert Zektar realized that their translation devices were picking up human voices speaking in what sounded like tactical coordination. The language was completely unknown, but the tone and rhythm suggested military communications. For the first time since entering the vessel, he understood that they were not dealing with a primitive abandoned ship, but rather an advanced warship with a living crew. "This is not a derelict," Zektar managed to transmit to his team leader before a plasma bolt struck his position. "We are under attack by an active military vessel with capabilities beyond our current understanding." The message reached Krianox just as his own position became untenable. The sub-commander had fought in dozens of boarding actions during his career, but had never encountered defenses this sophisticated. The human weapons seemed to anticipate his movements and adjust their targeting accordingly. Every attempt to find cover only resulted in more accurate fire from new angles. The entire engagement lasted less than 2 minutes from start to finish. When the plasma cannons finally stopped firing, the corridor was filled with the smell of burned metal and ozone. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the aftermath of what had been a perfectly executed ambush. Not a single member of the alien boarding party had survived the encounter. Sergeant Davis emerged from her concealed position to survey the results of the trap. The human defenses had performed exactly as designed, with 0 casualties on their side and complete elimination of the enemy force. She began collecting the alien weapons and equipment for analysis, while damage control teams checked the corridor for any structural problems. "Boarding party has been neutralized," Davis reported to the bridge. "All hostile contacts eliminated with no damage to ship systems. Collecting alien technology for intelligence analysis." Captain Morrison received the report while watching the alien fleet's reaction on his tactical displays. The loss of communications with the boarding party had caused considerable confusion among the Zephyrian commanders. Their sensors showed that the shuttles were still attached to the human vessel, but all attempts to contact the boarding teams were being blocked. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," Morrison ordered his communications officer. "Let's see if we can resolve the situation without further bloodshed." Lisa Park activated the translation protocols that had been developed by Earth's xenolinguistics teams. The systems could analyze alien communication patterns and create basic translation matrices within minutes. She opened a wideband transmission directed at the lead Zephyrian vessel. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Morrison of the Earthship. Iron Thunder," the message began in carefully measured tones. "Your boarding party attempted to breach our hull without permission and has been neutralized, according to standard defensive protocols. We are prepared to discuss peaceful resolution of this situation if you are willing to communicate." Commander Vextar received the transmission on the bridge of the Silent Whisper with growing alarm. The message was being transmitted in perfect Zephyrian despite coming from a species that should have no knowledge of their language. More disturbing was the casual reference to neutralizing his boarding party as if it had been a simple matter. "How did they learn our language so quickly?" asked his sensor operator Krillenex as she tried to analyze the transmission's origin point. "Our first contact protocols assume that communication will take considerable time to establish." Vextar studied the tactical display showing the human vessel that no longer appeared to be a derelict mining ship. Something had changed about its energy signature and sensor profile. The readings now suggested a military vessel with active weapon systems and defensive shields. His boarding party had walked into a carefully prepared trap. "All vessels assume attack formation," Vextar commanded his fleet. "We are dealing with a hostile species that has already demonstrated aggressive intentions. Prepare to engage their vessel and recover our people." The 12 Zephyrian ships began moving into a coordinated assault pattern that had been developed through centuries of space warfare. Their energy weapons charged to full power while defensive shields activated around each vessel. The alien commander believed that overwhelming firepower would quickly end this confrontation. Lieutenant Rodriguez watched the alien fleet's movements from her tactical station aboard the Iron Thunder as the situation escalated beyond diplomatic resolution. The Zephyrian ships were assuming classic attack formations that suggested they intended to destroy the human vessel. Captain Maurison's attempt at peaceful communication had been rejected in favor of military action. "Captain, the alien fleet is moving to attack positions," Rodriguez reported, while her fingers moved rapidly across the targeting controls. "All vessels are charging weapons and raising shields. I recommend we drop our disguise and prepare for combat." Morrison nodded grimly as he realized that first contact with alien intelligence would be decided by force rather than diplomacy. The Iron Thunder had been built for exactly this scenario, but he had hoped that reason might prevail over violence. The aliens had made their choice, and now humanity would show them the true meaning of superior technology. Captain Morrison gave the order that would change everything about this encounter. The Iron Thunder dropped its disguise systems and revealed its true nature to the alien fleet. What had appeared to be a damaged mining vessel transformed into something that defied everything the Zephyrians thought they knew about space warfare. The ship's hull seemed to ripple and shift as adaptive camouflage systems deactivated to show weapon ports that covered every surface. "All hands to battle stations," Morrison announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. We are engaging hostile alien forces. All departments report readiness for combat operations." Chief Weapons Officer Danny Collins took his position at the primary fire control station as the ship's arsenal came online. The Iron Thunder carried weapons that operated on principles the aliens had never encountered. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through enemy shields, plasma cannons that drew power directly from the ship's reactor core, energy disruptors that could disable entire vessels without destroying them. All weapon systems show green across. "The board captain," Collins reported as he ran final checks on the targeting computers. "We have full missile loads in all tubes and main batteries are charged to maximum capacity. The enemy fleet is moving into what appears to be a standard attack formation. The Zephyrian vessels spread out in a pattern designed to surround and overwhelm a single target through coordinated fire." Commander Vexstar had used similar tactics dozens of times against primitive species that possessed only basic defensive capabilities. His 12 ships represented enough firepower to level entire planetary surfaces, and he expected this engagement to end quickly. "Target their apparent command vessel first," Vexstar ordered his fleet commanders. "Once we eliminate their leadership, the remaining crew should surrender. Capture any survivors for interrogation about their species and technology." The alien ships opened fire simultaneously with particle beam weapons that lit up space with deadly energy. The coordinated barrage should have overwhelmed any known defensive system and reduced the human vessel to floating debris. Instead, the energy beams struck what appeared to be an invisible barrier surrounding the Iron Thunder and simply vanished without causing any damage. "Their shields are absorbing our weapons fire completely," reported Weapons Coordinator Thekvar from the bridge of the Silent Whisper as he watched his displays with growing confusion. "The energy readings suggest they are using some kind of matter conversion system that transforms incoming attacks into usable power." Collins smiled grimly as he watched the alien weapons charge his ship's defensive systems. The adaptive shielding could convert enemy fire into additional power for their own weapons. Every shot the aliens fired was making the Iron Thunder more dangerous rather than weakening it. "Return fire," Morrison commanded. "Show them what real space combat looks like." The human warship's response was swift and devastating. A spread of quantum torpedoes launched from concealed tubes and streaked toward the alien formation at incredible speed. The weapons seemed to flicker in and out of existence as they phased through normal spacetime. 3 Zephyrian vessels exploded simultaneously as the torpedoes materialized inside their hulls and detonated. Ashley Turner worked frantically at her station as she plotted intercept courses for the remaining alien ships. The Iron Thunder possessed propulsion systems that allowed it to appear at multiple locations almost instantly. Micro-wormhole generators could fold space around the ship and deliver it anywhere within the local star system. Setting course for the fleeing vessels, Turner reported as space seemed to bend around their ship. Engaging quantum jump drive in 3 seconds. The human vessel disappeared from its original position and reappeared directly behind 2 alien ships that were trying to retreat. The Zephyrians had no time to react before plasma cannons opened fire at point-blank range. Both vessels were cut in half by energy beams that operated at temperatures approaching the core of a star. Subfleet. Commander Zarthik aboard the Void. Runner watched in horror as half his force was eliminated in less than 2 minutes. His sensors could barely track the human vessel as it moved through space using technology that seemed to violate basic physics. The single enemy ship was fighting like an entire fleet and winning decisively. All vessels scatter and attempt individual escape vectors, Zarthik transmitted to his remaining ships. This enemy possesses capabilities beyond our understanding. We must warn the Empire about this threat. Communications specialist Chris Johnson intercepted the alien transmissions from Mam. His station aboard the Iron Thunder and immediately began jamming all outgoing signals. His equipment could block communications across multiple dimensions, simultaneously ensuring that no word of humanity's capabilities would reach alien space. Enemy communications have been severed, Johnson reported to the bridge. They cannot contact their home fleet or send warning messages. We have complete information control over this engagement. The remaining Zephyrian ships tried desperate evasion maneuvers as they attempted to escape from what had become a slaughter rather than a battle. Some vessels tried to jump to hyperspace only to discover that their engines had been disabled by targeted electromagnetic pulses. Others attempted to hide behind asteroid formations, but found that human sensors could track them through solid rock. Engineer Tony Garcia monitored the ship's experimental systems as they operated far beyond normal parameters during the engagement. The quantum drive was functioning perfectly while maintaining the power output needed for continuous weapons fire. The Iron Thunder seemed to have unlimited energy available for whatever the combat situation required. All systems operating within acceptable ranges, Garcia reported from the engineering section. The quantum reactor is actually running more efficiently during combat operations. We could maintain this level of activity indefinitely if necessary. Medical Officer Dr. Karen White treated the minor injuries sustained by crew members during the initial alien boarding action while monitoring the battle's progress. Her sensors could detect the biosigns from enemy vessels as their crews died one by one. The aliens were experiencing terror and confusion as they faced weapons they could not understand. Enemy casualties are approaching total, White reported. Clinically, their biological readings suggest extreme stress and panic among surviving crew members. They appear to be completely unprepared for this level of technological superiority. Collins demonstrated the full range of human weapons technology as he engaged each remaining alien vessel with different armaments. Some ships were destroyed by matter disintegration beams that simply erased them from existence. Others fell to gravitational weapons that crushed their hulls like empty containers. Each attack showcased capabilities that the aliens had never imagined possible. The Void Runner made a final desperate attempt to ram the human vessel in a suicide attack that might at least damage their enemy. Zarthak activated his ship's emergency systems and directed all remaining power to the engines as he aimed directly at the Iron Thunder, hoping to accomplish something with his death. Incoming suicide run from the remaining command vessel, Collins reported as he tracked the alien ship's approach. Shall I eliminate them at range or demonstrate our defensive capabilities? Morrison decided that a final demonstration would ensure that any possible survivors understood the futility of challenging human military power. The Iron Thunder activated its matter disintegration field as the alien vessel approached. The Void Runner simply ceased to exist as it encountered energy that broke down matter at the subatomic level, leaving no debris or energy signature behind. The silence that followed the destruction of the last alien vessel was complete and absolute. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Iron Thunder, watching the tactical displays that now showed empty space where 12 enemy ships had been just minutes before. Not a single piece of debris remained to mark the location of what had been a complete alien fleet. The human weapons had been so efficient that they had erased all evidence of the battle. "All enemy contacts eliminated," reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. From her tactical station, no survivors detected on any scanning frequency. The engagement is concluded with total victory and 0 friendly casualties. Morrison nodded as he considered the implications of what had just occurred. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence had resulted in complete military victory, achieved so quickly and efficiently that the enemy never understood what they were fighting. The aliens had encountered human military technology and been eliminated before they could comprehend the true nature of their opponents. "Begin debris collection operations," Morrison ordered his crew. "I want every piece of alien technology recovered and analyzed. Nothing gets left behind that could reveal what happened here." Chief Engineer Garcia activated the ship's advanced matter recyclers that could break down any material at the molecular level. The systems had been designed to eliminate evidence of human military operations by converting debris into basic elements that would appear natural in space. Within hours, there would be no trace that a battle had ever taken place in this system. The recycling process was incredibly thorough as the Iron Thunder moved through the engagement area, collecting even the smallest fragments of alien technology. Specialized sensors could detect individual atoms of foreign materials and guide the collection systems to every piece of evidence. The human ship had been built for exactly this type of cleanup operation. Intelligence Officer Major Ryan Cooper began downloading and analyzing the data collected from alien computer systems during the brief engagement. The information revealed detailed maps of Zephyrian space, along with intelligence about their military capabilities and expansion plans. Most importantly, it showed that the aliens had been planning to explore human territory within the next few years. Captain, the alien databases contain extensive information about their empire, Cooper reported from his analysis station. They control approximately 40 star systems and have been expanding steadily for over 2 centuries. Their military doctrine appears to rely on overwhelming numbers rather than advanced technology. The intelligence data painted a picture of an aggressive civilization that conquered primitive species through superior firepower and coordinated fleet actions. The Zephyrians had never encountered resistance from technologically advanced opponents, and their tactics reflected this limitation. They were completely unprepared for fighting enemies who possessed better weapons and defensive systems. Medical Officer Dr. White completed her analysis of the alien. Biological samples recovered from the boarding party remains. Her findings provided humanity's first detailed study of non-human intelligence and revealed important information about Zephyrian physiology and psychology. The data would be invaluable for future encounters with this species. The alien biology shows several interesting characteristics, White reported to the bridge. Their nervous systems appear to be highly efficient, but lack the flexibility that allows humans to adapt quickly to new situations. This may explain why they were unable to adjust their tactics during the engagement. The biological analysis suggested that while the Zephyrians possessed advanced technology, they were fundamentally limited by their inability to think creatively under pressure. Human military doctrine emphasized adaptability and innovation while the aliens seemed to rely on predetermined responses to specific situations. Communications. Officer Park confirmed that no alien transmissions had escaped the jamming field during the entire encounter. The Iron Thunder had maintained complete control over all communications throughout the engagement, ensuring that no word of the battle would reach Zephyrian space. The alien empire would never learn what had happened to their scout fleet. All enemy communications were successfully blocked, Park reported. No signals escaped our jamming field, and no automated distress beacons were detected. The alien empire will have no information about this encounter or human capabilities. Morrison walked to the main viewing screen and looked out at the empty space where an entire alien fleet had been destroyed. The engagement had lasted less than 30 minutes from first contact to final elimination of all enemy forces. Human military technology had proven so superior that the battle had been more like target practice than actual combat. Officer Collins powered down the ship's combat systems as the threat was completely eliminated. The quantum torpedoes and plasma cannons had performed exactly as designed, with devastating effectiveness against alien defensive systems. Every weapon had functioned perfectly and demonstrated capabilities that were generations ahead of anything the enemies possessed. All weapon systems secured and returning to standby mode, Collins reported. Ammunition expenditure was minimal, and all systems operated within normal parameters throughout the engagement. We could fight 10 more battles like this one without resupply. The efficiency of the victory was almost frightening when Morrison considered its implications. A single human warship had eliminated an entire alien fleet without sustaining any damage or casualties. The technological gap between the species was so enormous that the aliens had never posed any real threat to human forces. Turner began plotting their return course to continue the original patrol mission. A Iron Thunder would resume its classified operations as if nothing had happened in this remote star system. The encounter with alien intelligence would be recorded in classified files, but would never appear in any public records. Course plotted for continuation of patrol route, Turner reported. We can resume normal operations immediately. All systems show ready for quantum jump whenever you give the order, Captain. Morrison made his final decision about how to handle the aftermath of humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. The engagement had been a complete success from a military standpoint, but it also represented a sobering demonstration of human capabilities when pushed to defend themselves. The aliens had forced this confrontation through their aggressive actions. Begin final sweep of the area, Morrison commanded. Make sure we haven't missed anything that could provide evidence of what happened here. Then we resume patrol and report mission accomplished. The Iron Thunder spent another hour conducting detailed scans of the entire region to ensure that no trace of the alien fleet remained. The ship's sensors could detect even microscopic debris, but found nothing that would indicate a battle had taken place. The matter recyclers had been completely effective in eliminating all evidence. As the human warship prepared to leave the Kepler 442 system, Morrison reflected on the significance of what had occurred. Humanity had encountered its first alien civilization, and the result had been total victory achieved through overwhelming technological superiority. The aliens had seen a Terran warship once, and as the mission title had promised, none had lived to tell the tale. The Iron Thunder activated its quantum drive and disappeared into the depths of space, leaving behind only empty void or 12 alien vessels had once patrolled. In Zephyrian space, the scout fleet would eventually be listed as missing and presumed lost to navigational hazards. No investigation would be launched, and no second expedition would be planned to search for them. The universe was vast and full of dangers that could claim entire fleets without leaving any trace behind. Space was hostile and unforgiving, and sometimes ships simply vanished without explanation. The Zephyrian Empire would continue its expansion in other directions, never knowing that they had encountered humanity and been found completely wanting in the ultimate test of military capability.